same outcome for everyone. That's not American. Equality is about having the same opportunity for everyone. Look, equality is the name of the game in the NFL. The best players are put on the field. You don't get the equal ending for everybody. Best players put on the field, equal opportunity. They missed the boat on this.
Always top 10 candidate for dumbest person in America with most disingenuous opinions, trying to say nothing while trying to make it sound like something. Greg Stankfield or Gary Stinchfield, whoever the hell he is, that somehow got his own show, sitting here and talking about an issue that does not exist. He says equal outcomes for everyone. That's not what football's about. It's about equal opportunity. They really missed the mark on this. Who's the they? Who on earth is saying both teams should have won or something? This is a fight you're having in your own head. But please, I guarantee you his comments get far stupider. Wait till Satan comes in the mix. Just stand by for only a moment.
Then, of course, there was the halftime show. This was out of control to me. You talk about kids, right?
Who's talking about kids? You just brought it up, but go on.
An overly sexualized halftime show from Rihanna.
Over-sexualized halftime show. She was pregnant. She barely moved. She did like very lazy, like in place. Good show. Don't get me wrong, but like that was the moves, okay? There were a couple sexual moves in there. Granted, it's a Super Bowl halftime show that has had sexualized moves in almost all of them for at least 20 years now. So I don't disagree with you that children should not be exposed in an ideal world to over-sexualized content. It's a hard point to disagree with, except for the fact that that boat sailed decades ago in America. So unless you're against all forms of entertainment that have now become commonplace in this land and want to fight all of it, stop doing it when it's just something you can be outraged about in your little monologue. Stop doing it when it's a hip-hop performer, when I'm sure you're not offended by sexualized things, say from the cheerleaders on the side of the whatever, the field, the playing field. But when it's somebody who's successful from it and rich from it, then certainly it deserves your ire, right, Stank Man? Go on.
She's dressed in red, and she falls from the sky, surrounded by people dressed in white, like angels. Do we know the story from the Bible? When Satan fell from heaven, and he brought down those fallen angels with him? It's exactly what played out on our screens, and then it got even worse.
Okay. Just because someone's wearing red surrounded by white, it's just a color scheme. It doesn't mean they're trying to be the devil surrounded by angels falling from the sky. And even if they did, so what? Because newsflash, I have to say all the time, unlike newsflashes typically go, the Bible ain't real, dog. The Bible, a made-up story, dog. And so you're complaining that Rihanna's halftime performance didn't conform to biblical standards, even though, once again, that story's in the Bible. So why isn't she allowed to tell you a story from the Bible? If you love the book so much, Rihanna's just reenacting a story from the Bible. You could use that as a teachable moment and say, look, she's representing the devil touching her genitals to teach you that how you should never be because she's a terrible crotch toucher. So you could also do it that way, Stankfield, but, you know, whatevs.
Every disgusting move you can imagine, and somehow you've got to explain to your little kid why she is grabbing her crotch and then, quite frankly, smelling her finger.
I mean, the dancers were just doing kind of regular hip thrusts, kind of like crotch thrusts, which is a standard move. And you could also just not explain it to your kids. And if they ask, you could just say, they're just being silly and move on, you know? Just don't let them see your show where you explain what they are doing, and then everybody's good. But I'll also kind of concede Rihanna didn't need to touch her crotch and smell it. It was a little strange to me as well. But of course, he then had to attack another group and decide to attack people supporting the LGBTQ community and just people who don't need to live in a gender binary like this insecure, typical man does. And go ahead, Stankfield.
Nothing is ever going to change. And just for fun, let me show you this video of Juju Smith-Schuster. Talk about pandering. The guy's wearing a skirt before the game. He's an NFL football player, for crying out loud, and he's wearing a skirt coming into the game. Not needed.
Of course it's not needed, you idiot, but the whole point of him being a football player and doing that is what makes it cool, because this guy is saying even tough macho football players can also express themselves and dress freely and not be stuck to your shirt and tie that you must wear every day of your life, or else you don't feel like a man because of the tiny pee-pee you got. People are allowed to make different choices, not needed, also not in the least bit worthy of criticism. But I'm sure as you're watching this video, Stankfield, you're already very tiny penis is shrinking more and more, and your balls have gone inside your body, and you don't know what to do now. Within minutes, you're going to be wearing a skirt. And what are you going to do then? People are going to look at you on your way into the office and say, "Not needed, Stanfield." I mean, you're a moron. And then watch how he transitions from that bit of unnecessary marginalization and hatred into something far more nefarious.
The whole Super Bowl, sadly, was woke. It was filled with this nonsense, social justice.
It was filled with woke nonsense, social justice, whatever. You can't just take the concept of social justice and put it as an aside at the end of your hateful, idiotic rant. It was filled with nonsense, social justice. Oh, you mean the need of marginalized groups to be treated equally in this country finally after centuries and centuries? That's not something that's silly, like, according to you, the guy wearing a kilt dress or whatever it is. But may as well just throw it in there as a quick aside to your rant. And then let's see how you transition from that into, very obviously from your own mouth, shady stuff. Go ahead.
Congratulations to the Chiefs. They played a fabulous game, and I'm glad the Eagles lost because I'm not a fan of that team. All right, folks. We'll see what happens on the next big sporting event, right? On the main stage. I'll be there to critique it, I promise you. So here's something I want to let you know about. I want you to think about protecting your finances with gold. How do you do it? You visit my friends over at Birch Gold, okay?
How dare Rihanna express herself and sing famous songs, and how dare a player dress as he wants? Now, are you afraid you're going to die broke and alone? Visit my friends at Birch Gold, who are going to talk you and your vulnerable elderly self into some sort of financial arrangement you don't understand and will bilk you out of your hard-earned and barely there retirement money. I'm Greg Stinchfield. I like to create culture wars where they're not necessary so I can fund a show advertised by crooks. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. I mean, just shut the RebelHQ. I'm Ben Gleib. Thanks for watching. Good night. I love you.